Hey everyone, welcome back to the podcast. My guest today is Matty Green. Matty is a strength and conditioning coach, gym owner, former Royal Marine Commando, father, husband, athlete, and entrepreneur. Matty and I talk about his time in the Marines in Iraq and Afghanistan, near-death experiences, how to prepare yourself if you're considering a career in the Marines, Zone 2 training, and eye mobility protocols for office workers. Matty also tells me which one exercise he could survive on if he was stranded on a desert island, if training the neck is important, tips on staying married, how to be a good influence on your children, masculinity, and nutrition. Now, this episode was my first on-site, and a little disclaimer, I had some equipment fail, total schoolboy error, but this I've managed to save, just so at the end the quality of the audio will just go really bad, but you still can hear everything. So it's about 15 minutes, and basically because we were in the gym and there was all this rain coming down on like the tin roof, and it was like just dead loud, but then it does subside a little bit. So it starts off bad towards the end, and then it'll sort of ease out and you can hear everything much more clearly. And I'd highly recommend that you stay till the end because there's some really good stuff in there as well. Matty was an absolute gent about my hiccup, and he has confirmed that he'd be up for a follow-up. So make sure you send me any more questions you have next time. Those of you in the gym, you gave me loads of questions, and I was only able to ask that one. So I hope you enjoy my conversation with Matty Green.
Matty Green, hello. Thank you so much for doing this. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
I thought we would start with a big part of your life, which was the Marines.
Yep.
Royal Marines Commando unit. What's the situation there with the sort of the SAS and the SBS? Like, how do those things interlink?
So the SAS and SBS are both special forces. So we've got Special Air Service and Special Boat Service. Royal Marines are just kind of a step below those two. So within the military, you can apply to join those branches, and then you can go through a very grueling, very tough course to then eventually pass one of those two, and you can go down two branches. So most of the Royal Marines will go to the SBS, but not always. You can choose. Special Boat Service doing more diving stuff, but they'll do the SBS. They're not as heard of as the SAS or as kind of popular as you can imagine, but they are both unbelievably well trained, unbelievably tough human beings. To pass those courses takes a special human. Physically, mentally, you've got to have a certain element of luck as well. Passing these grueling courses, and I've worked alongside operators from the SBS in Afghanistan, and they're just like next level. Like it's almost like your heroes almost. Like you see, and they've all got the special kit. You know what they've been through to get where they are. I'm lucky enough to have quite a few friends who are now what they call badged. So once you've passed those courses, you get badged, and you are obviously part of their unit. I actually, during the lockdown, one of my Marines from my section in Afghanistan, he messaged and said, "I'm in training to go down the SBS route. Can you help me?" And I was like, "Yeah, absolutely, sure." I mean, he'd been in the Marines for a good 10, 11 years. Time he'd have been about 31, 32, and he made the decision. He wanted to do it. You know, he's got a family. For me, as soon as I got a girlfriend, as soon as I was with Vicky, I was like, I'm not going down that route. In my opinion, you're a single person to get to do that type of stuff. So I helped him and his friend as well, and I programmed for them for months, all the way through. So we kind of had a look at their courses that they needed to do and when they needed to do it, and I programmed for them specifically to obviously peak at the right times, and then they both went all the way through together, and passed. You know, it's a good 12 months of training. They passed together and badged. And then they sent me, I wasn't expecting it, they sent me a bottle of port from the SBS. It's got their little sticker on and some frogman shorts. So just some little like rugby shorts, but they've got the little SBS frog on there. So knowing that I'd had a hand in helping them prepare and pass SBS training, for me, is one of my, as a coach, it's one of my greatest achievements. And knowing what they've been to get to where they are, just honestly, and there's stuff they'd tell me, some of the stuff I won't obviously repeat on here, I won't be allowed to repeat, but it's like I say, you have to be another type of human being, be able to pass those courses. So I had an itch when I returned from Afghanistan that I might give it a go. I think I'd have been fit enough, but like I say, many variables. You could roll your ankle too badly on a night navigation exercise, and that's you done.
How long into your Royal Marines career is this when you're thinking about maybe doing it?
This would be 7 or 8 years. So I joined in 2002, September 2002, passed out of training in 2003. I was in Afghanistan in 2008, 2009. So just after that, maybe 2009, 2010, that's when I thought maybe. But then quickly made the decision no and left 2 years later.
Right.
Yeah.
One way or the other.
Yeah, exactly.
It's often the case with
things.
So let's just take a little rewind. And was it when you were 17? Is that right that you did your Royal Marines? And
yep.
What was your first deployment?
First deployment was in Iraq in 2004. I actually had my 19th birthday out there, which was fun. So yeah, I started the process to join the Marines at 16. I just left school. Wanted to be an officer first.
Why?
I've got no idea why. And I don't know, I think maybe I'd wanted to join the Marines from year 9. So my cousin, he was a year above me at school, and he had a careers day. And there was someone there from the Royal Navy and the Royal Marines. And he comes back to me that night and he's like, I'm going to join the Marines. And I'm like, cool, what are they? He's like, he told me all about it. And he gave me this leaflet. And I remember this, it's like it was yesterday. He gave me this leaflet and I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, yeah, I'm going to join the Marines too. And so we both planned on joining the Marines together. I wanted to be an officer. And then I flunked my GCSEs massively, which meant I would have had to have redone my maths again, college for a year, so tread water basically, and then get A-levels and then join. So I went to college and then quickly realised that I don't want to do anything academic. At the time, I really couldn't be bothered. I just wanted to get there. And so I thought, right, I'll knock the officer course on the head. I'll just go straight in. So me and my cousin, he was happy because he didn't have to wait. He didn't have to wait because he wanted to join with me. So then we both applied. We did the 3-day Potential Royal Marines course together down at Livingston, and both passed and both got the same exact start date to start training together, which was great. And then we had to move his mum's garden swing, right? This big swing, big wooden swing. We had to move it she'd moved house, and it was a good 800 meters away. Instead of us getting it on a truck, she was like, can you both carry it? It would be good training for the Marines. So we're like, yeah. So we're carrying this massive wooden swing, and we get it there. But in the process, it gives my cousin a double hernia, which needed surgery, and then he couldn't join. So it was like, right, I'm off down by myself, and he never ended up doing it in the end. So I joined by myself, and I think maybe that helped me a little bit because although we were very, very close, almost like brothers, I think there'd have been a lot of competition there between me and him, which could have been good or it could have been bad.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't want it to affect our relationship at all. So I don't think he was bothered in the end. Where he's gone now is really good. But so then I passed out of training at 17, a young 17. I was one of the youngest in the troop to do it, and then had 18th, and then moved into my 19th birthday in Iraq. Grow up pretty quick.
So paint the picture for me. So are you flying in? Is it on just a normal plane? Is it on one of those military ones? What's going through your mind 17-year-old Matty.
A 17-year-old. So it's, have I got all my kit with me? Have I forgotten anything? We'd get so Iraq we'd fly, I believe we flew into Doha, civilian airplane, but which took off from Bryce Norton. The RAF flew it, but it's like a regular civilian jet. And then from there, we'd get loaded onto what we call a Hercules, a big military plane. You'd have seen them in films and stuff like that. And then we got flown, massive tailgate at the back, and then we'd fly in to flew into Basra Airport, I believe. Flew into Basra Airport, and at the time when I went, it was already been cleared. It was held by the RAF. It was held by our forces. There was no
years into the conflict.
This was the year after, so the invasion was 2003, and I joined the troop with a lot of the lads who had been on the invasion of Iraq. So that was pretty tough. There was only a few of us who joined after, but we had to quickly step up because those lads had been to war together. They'd been on an invasion which had not been seen. Their bond was massive, so we had to really step our game up and prove ourselves. And then we landed in Basra, and then we would get given certain tasks. Each company would get given a task to do, and there was all types of tasks. One that massively sticks out to me was, and look back on it, you think, wow, I can't believe we did that. So all the bases obviously had lots of waste. That waste had to get removed. Human waste had to get removed from portaloos, from, you name it. We had to protect the wagons, which were full of shit. And we had to escort them different places, making sure that no one attacked these massive shit wagons. But at the time, it's a new experience for me. It's my first operation.
Sure.
It's a job I'm out there doing. But when you look back on it, you think, hang on a minute, who's going to want to take this massive shit wagon? Maybe that, it could have been used as an vehicle-borne IED or something like that. But when you really think about it, that wagon's full of poo. So we had jobs like that. I got a job up in Baghdad. We had a bit of a job up there in what's called the Green Zone. So that was American-based. The Green Zone was an area which was kind of like ringed of protection. So we could walk around the Green Zone in Baghdad in civilian clothing as long as one of us had a weapon, between two.
Yeah.
There was swimming pools. We used to swim in Saddam Hussein's old swimming pools. Market there, and that market would sell knockoff DVDs and music and stuff like that, and we'd go and buy all these DVDs and stuff. It was copyright films. And
what's a DVD? No.
Yeah. But turns out,
Did they have a Blockbuster?
No Blockbuster. But turns out, like this, this is how dangerous it still was. This market, when we'd left, this market got blew up by suicide bomb. So, some of the little kids.
Just how soon after? Was like the day after? Or
No. I'm not sure. I think we were still out in theatre, or we might have returned home. But we heard that because they knew we would visit there.
Sure.
And it wouldn't take long, or it wouldn't be hard for someone to infiltrate, get in the Green Zone. It's still full of civilians, lots of civilians there. It wasn't like an American base as such. There was still
just right. Okay.
And then so Basra, Baghdad. We did patrols out in Al Amara, the Mazan Lakes, which is right on the border between Iraq and Iran. So we did quite a lot of jobs around there, looking after fairly high up prisoners as well. They would get interrogated and stuff, not by us, but we would guard these people. Very, do you remember the old deck of cards that they had? Of so the US had a deck of cards, and each kind of card would be labeled as a high ranked person of interest, or someone who they wanted to take out,
okay,
or get rid of. And some of these people were pretty high up on that deck of cards who we were looking
right.
Right. Yeah, so it's pretty full on. I didn't really, again, as a young kid, I didn't really take note of who we had, and it was just doing, right, Matty, you've got to do this, do that. and I just did it. Afghanistan was completely different.
How so?
Completely different in the way that it was on a more of a war footing. We did do a lot of peacekeeping. Did a hell of a lot of that. Hearts and minds, they called it. So trying to win the hearts and minds of the locals. Much more kinetic. So what I mean by that is there'd be lots more contact. So we'd be, fighting against an enemy, the Taliban usually. And then the next minute, we'd have to switch and go straight into hearts and mind mode again. And you'd literally go through a village and you could see persons of fighting age, and they'd be sweaty and they'd be covered in dirt, and you knew that you'd been scrapping against these people, and then you had to put it aside, and that was tough because of the rules of engagement.
Sure, I've seen so many films, covering this sort of stuff, and hearts and mind. Obviously, like I recognize that phrase, but obviously, I can never imagine what it was actually like. Have you ever watched any of those films, and what do you think about them? Is there any that really sort of nailed it in terms of getting that vibe?
I do. A lot of the time, Vicky will tell you, my wife will tell you, it's hard because I'm going, that'll never happen. Ones that stick out that are really good was American Sniper. That was a good one with Bradley
Cooper.
I'm going to say Bradley Wiggins then, but no, it's Bradley Cooper. That was really good in terms of like the time and the tactics used. It seemed very close to what it was actually like. I don't watch many, especially modern ones. I don't know why. It doesn't trigger me or anything. I don't, I'm lucky enough that I'm okay.
Yeah.
I just...
You probably scratched that itch.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder about this sometimes, and there's like, sometimes lads and lasses, I presume, but in my experience, lads like love like watching war stuff, and I wonder if it's just because we civvies have never experienced it, and that's probably why it is, because we've got this innate sort of thing in us that sort of something about that warrior mentality. That's just with all of us really.
I liked, I'd rather watch Gladiator films like that.
I watched that again recently. Like, I've watched it loads of times over the years. I watched it just recently, and I like it. It really got me. Like, I don't know whether, because you're into Stoicism, so like I'll know a bit more about like Marcus Aurelius, and I know it's semi-fictitious, isn't it? Like, it's fictitious basically, but using actual characters. Maybe that made me like connect with it a bit better, but it's a great film. Yeah, and so painful. Every time.
Yeah, it is. I've not watched it for a long time, but I don't watch many of the modern ones. None that really jump out at me. Saving Private Ryan was class. That's a classic. Yeah, I did watch Band of Brothers. But American Sniper. There's a Lone Survivor as well. You seen that one? Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah. To be honest, I lose track as well. I watched this one.
Yeah.
There's a lot out there.
Yeah.
So on this sort of staying with the Marines and your deployments, what's the sort of closest that you've ever come to death, or what was the darkest place you went to?
There's two that stick out. The first one is we was in a place called Al-Mara, and this place had not been Al-Mazrah, and this place had not been cleared yet of the Taliban. The US had tried to take it. It's a large village, and this was our last engagement, last operation of the tour in 2009. And there was a ring, they called it a ring of steel, so you had a load of Danish Leopard tanks, which were around the edge of this village, and then we would infiltrate through them almost. And we'd been scrapping for, a good 16-hour days, full on. And we'd moved at night. One night ROC had decided that we were going to move during the night and move around and then come back clearing through this part of the village, because each company had their section of the village which they needed to take out and clear. This was the one where, there was, before we went in, like they did in the recent Israel-Palestine conflict, they dropped a load of things saying, if you're civilian, you've got to get out, you've got to leave here. Right. So we knew our rules of engagement had completely changed, and it was, if you see someone, this is it. This is legit. We'd moved around through the night, and then that morning we were clearing back up. And my troop, so about 30 lads, my section So I had myself and 7 others in my section. We'd walked through us, up this road, and my section was at the rear. And my point man, if you saw something on the ground which looked a bit sus, you'd have to kind of notice it without really noticing it. Because if you just started pointing at something and someone was watching, you don't know what was on the end of that. So my point man turns around to me and he's like, Matty, what's that? And he just kind of like looks, and I start looking in the direction and I see it. And you can see like the ground had been disturbed and there's like a small like mound. So you could tell something was underneath it. So I got on the radio and said, right, lads, everybody get into cover. We're moving off the road, getting into cover. And then we had to get the EOD guys, the explosive ordnance guys, to come and have a look. And what we found out was 2 anti-tank mines on top of each other with a command wire on the end of it. Command wire is so someone would be on the end of that wire, and when we were in position, they would press it. And we were so lucky in that they weren't there yet. They weren't expecting us to come from the opposite direction. So if we'd have been coming the opposite way, they'd have seen us that morning, and they'd have got on the end of that command wire. And just to give you an example, the size of the hole that when we blew it up was probably double the amount of this table. 2 anti-tank mines, if we stood on them, or if they blew up next to us, would have probably wiped out a good 85% of the troop, vaporized. A lot of us would have just been completely gone.
Yeah.
There wouldn't have been a trace of us. And then a lot of lads would have been severely injured. And that was close. We're talking hours. No, my point man had spotted it. So the whole troop had gone past this and literally walked over it, almost.
Wow.
On this road. The second time, I'd probably say this is much closer. And I've told this story a few times, but so in the morning, we would, depending where we were, we'd usually have little bets as to when were we going to get contacted by the enemy, when were they going to start kicking off, and we'd go like, right, I've got 10:37 and he's got 10:22, like, and we just win a bet and stuff like that. And this one morning around about 10 o'clock, the lads on the roof start getting shot at, so we need to find and locate where this firing's coming from. So myself, my point man, and my troop sergeant, I'll go back a little bit. When we were out in the field, we would sometimes pay the locals. We'd say, we're going to take over your house for the night, your compound. We'd pay them and they'd leave. They'd go to a neighbour's or something, and as a troop, because they were like little bunkers, they were made from mud and thick, hard, dried walls. They were bomb-proof pretty much, almost bomb-proof.
Yeah.
And then they had flat roofs where we could build positions and put sandbags on and all stuff like that. So we needed to find out where we knew a rough direction, but we needed to locate it. So as me and my troop sergeant and my point man, we go out into this alleyway. So as soon as we opened the door, there was an alleyway, probably not much, about half size this table. And on this side of the alley, this side of the wall was a wall about 5.5, 6, just a bit less than 6 foot. So my troop sergeant was facing down that way of the alleyway. My point man was facing that way, and to give me protection so I could put my head over the top and have a look. So I get there, put my head over the top of the wall. I'm looking. I put my head down, and at that exact point there, I heard a crack and a thump, a very, very loud crack. And I was like, fucking hell, it made me like I was like, whoa, like I knew it was close. And I looked at my troop sergeant's face and his jaw had dropped.
Yeah.
And behind my head was a single bullet hole.
Wow.
So the round had come and just swept past my head and hit the wall behind me. And the bullet had disintegrated, but the wall was just crumbling slightly. So my head was in the scope of one of these men.
Wow.
And I've moved at the exact time. And that was the closest. Now, I laughed.
Sure.
Weird.
Yeah.
Some people deal with this differently. I laughed. I couldn't believe it. Yeah, my troop sergeant's face was just white because he saw how close that was. And those two stick out in my mind as the closest.
You seem like you have like a quite a calm sort of, c'est la vie sort of approach if with that sort of thing. And Do you, I mean, have you ever like reflected on it, and do you ever feel differently about it, or have you always been kind of like, well, it is what it is? I got lucky there, or
Yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah.
I'm extremely lucky. The tour that we did, from my memory, was different to a lot of my friends' tours. A lot of my friends would be in what we call FOB, so forward operating base, and it was literally like playing the lottery with your life, day in, day out. The enemy knew exactly where you were. They knew where the gates to the FOB were. You had to go out and come back the same way. Try not to set patterns, but there's only times you can go in one gate and out the other gate and back in another gate. And it was almost like waiting to get hit, waiting to get blown up. And I was lucky in that I didn't have to suffer with that. I didn't have that anxiety. We would fly into an area, do our business, and then fly out. So my tour was completely different to some of my friends in subsequent tours, and who were obviously now suffering from the effects of that. I just had two incidences which were pretty close.
Yeah.
My tour wasn't bad at all.
So you think your response to sort of coming back into civil life, do you think more of that is down to your experience rather than your sort of propensity or mindset or disposition? Does that make sense?
Yeah, possibly. I don't think I'm not of a mindset where someone was watching over me, someone made me move. I just moved. I got lucky. I could have stayed there and then I wouldn't be here now.
Yeah.
But I can't dwell on that. What's the point? It's happened. I wasn't hurt. I wasn't injured.
Yeah.
I got lucky. I laughed straight away, instantly laughed about it. You move on.
Yeah, I'm with it.
There's no point in dwelling on it.
Yeah.
The person who sent that round my way isn't on this planet anymore. So
how do you know what happened?
Well, I can't go into too much detail, but yeah, that building got cleared. We knew where he was.
Yeah.
We have those lovely helicopters called Apaches above our heads.
Yeah.
And that sent a few things down that way.
Thank you for sharing that. That's fascinating. And like I say, could never imagine being in that situation. And so I think that's why I'm endlessly fascinated by army and military stuff. And it's just, you can't, I'll never, unless we went to war tomorrow. So
Yeah.
I don't. And, even now.
Well, you never know now.
Yeah. I don't know what the cutoff would be. I'm not quite that old yet. But you were talking earlier, we were talking about SES and stuff like that, and that you'd done a program for some of your mates that went through it. Yeah. So at the time, were you still in the military?
No.
This was here while you were being a coach?
Yeah.
I thought so. I was just checking on that. So on that, I mean, obviously it's slightly different. If those lads that went into the SES, had they already done any other training before that? Like, do you have to go through the Marines to then go in the SES, or just straight into the SES?
No, you'd have to join and either be from the Marines, the Paras, the Army, the RAF. Once you're in, you couldn't just go now and try and join the SAS or SBS. You have to be in the military first up. You could pass out a training on the Friday and then put your notice in to go for it on the Monday.
Yeah.
Not many would. Many people would turn you down, say no, you've just passed out a training. But I know some recruits I took through training joined very, very quickly after leaving, and have had tremendous careers in the SBS and SES. So I guess as long as you've got that, you've done your basic military training, you can then prepare yourself. Sometimes it takes years to get fit enough to get ready for it. Yeah. So,
and what about going back a step? So let's say someone is finishing up school, considering a career in the Marines, maybe, whatever. Do you think there's anything they can do besides, basic fitness to prepare themselves? And should they do that? Or is it kind of the fact that they may be going to unprepared that then you find out if they have the mindset? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Bit of both. So I'm currently training a young lad who's 15, and he's joining as soon as he can. So he's started the process already. You can apply at 15 years and 9 months or something like that. So he's done that. And then what I've told him to obviously get physically fit, especially the Marines, you can't just rock up and expect to pass if you've got no form of fitness behind you, and learn how to iron. Because if you can iron to begin, your life in those first few weeks is so much easier. And I mean, being able to iron well enough where you can iron your t-shirt and make it the size of that A4 sheet of paper and make it crisp. And attention to detail is massive. Learn to be on time, be ahead of where you're meant to be. So if you're meant to be somewhere at 10, be there at 5 to or 10 to.
Yeah.
Get used to eating and drinking lots of water, but also eating lots of food, because you need to eat lots of food. And if you don't eat a lot, you won't survive.
Yeah.
But really, again, I was a very green 17-year-old. I had one job at Asda, or a morning paper round, so that made me get up early as well. But the learning curve is very steep and very, you have to be on the ball. There's no oh, it's okay, you'll be all right, you'll get better. Like, each week you're being tested, and if you don't pass those tests, you'll get put back. And eventually, if you keep failing those tests, you'll get removed from training. Not good enough.
Yeah.
So it's really been able to deal with that pressure, but focusing on just what's in front of you. Like, there's no point, especially with the Royal Marines, you've got the Commando test, which is kind of what sets us apart, and Commando training. So the first 15 weeks are very similar to what it would be in the basic army infantry training. After that, we get much more tactical, and then move on to specialist stuff like helo aviation drills, so helicopter stuff, boat drills in the boats, being able to move into position and infiltrate via a boat, all amphibious training. And then you move into the Commando phase, which has been able to pass your Commando test. And there's four tests, and if you don't pass those, you don't earn your Green Beret, which is what all the Marines get. There's no point thinking about those tests in week 1, because they're 32 weeks away.
Yeah.
There's a long way between them. There's no point thinking about your rifle test in week 4, because you're in week 1. You and your iron are best mates at this point, and your ability to become a team member, chip in, clean what needs cleaning, as well as cleaning your own stuff, you are constantly working. Sleep is minimal. You need to eat lots. You'll be training once, twice a day. Physically hard, demanding training.
Yeah.
And then after week 9, you have these certain tests. So you got a gym pass out test in week 9, and that's being able to demonstrate that you can can climb a 30-foot rope. You can do all these certain tests. And then after week 9, it's now we're going to start moving you outside. So you've left the gym environment, not a gym like this, but a large gymnasium. And then now you are going to be loaded with kit, and you're going to be out in the elements. And then each week you get heavier and heavier. You've still got to climb this 30-foot rope. At one point you've got, you build up to a point where you've got a 30-foot rope to climb. Might be wet.
Yeah.
You've got 21 pounds around your waist and your rifle, and you've got to climb that rope, pass that test, get to the top. And you've got another test. You've got to pass the assault course. This is the bottom field test. Then you've got a 200-meter fireman's carry with another human being on your back in 90 seconds. You've got to pass that. There's all these tests, but you can only pass what's in front of you.
Mm.
And I've really unknowingly brought all this into my life now, and just got to deal with what's in front. There's no point worrying about what's coming.
Yeah.
You've got to get your shit together today for tomorrow, not next week, not what's coming up. We all worry about stuff. It's human nature, but you've got to, and it kind of, maybe I was into a bit of stoicism before I was even into stoicism, before I even knew what it was, but just being able to control what you can control, that's all you can do. Thinking about the Commando tests, no point until you're at the Commando tests. And by the time you get to the Commando tests, you'll be ready for them, and having the belief that you are ready for them, and then you'll pass. because you've done the training. By that point, you've been in 26 weeks.
Yep.
It may have changed now, but by when I was in there, it was 26 weeks. So I struggled. I was lucky enough that I went through training in one go. I didn't get injured. Very lucky not to get injured. Some lads get stress fractures from the amount of kit they're wearing, their shins, they get shin splints, compartment syndrome, broken ankles. I know lads who finish a 30-miler with a broken tibia. That's mindset.
Yeah.
That's wanting to pass. His legs, not the best now, but he passed. That's next level. You've got to be you've got to be willing to go to that level in order to get that goal. And I see, again, I was lucky enough to not only go through training, but take recruits through training as well. So I saw it from both sides, and taking a very green civilian from, walking out on the train platform, not knowing a thing of what's coming, to the becoming a Royal Marines Commando 9 months later is unbelievable satisfaction. Again, I'm coaching at this point. I started my coaching career back then, coaching people how to shoot, coaching people how to move properly, how to map read. Doing all these things was the start of my coaching career, and I loved seeing lads progress. Don't get me wrong, if they messed up, they knew about it.
Yeah.
Again, sometimes I say these things to people, and some people are slightly shocked in the stuff that I've done to people in order to make what I'm making. What are we creating at the end of the day? We're creating a human being who's capable of killing another human being, but then 10 seconds later, switching that off. That's different from creating an athlete or creating someone in the corporate world where that level of violence hopefully will never be seen.
Yeah.
We have to make life horrible for them to experience physical and mental pain.
Mm.
But I would never do anything that I'd never had done to me.
Sure. Would you give some examples?
Making pointless stuff. The thing that's lots of stuff which is just bullshit. As in, so because I lived up north, I stayed on camp during the week, and the lads who lived locally in my training team, they would do the weekends so I could get home and they could be at home during the week. So then most nights, if the recruits had messed up, if they'd done stuff, if they were late for things, we would add that time up, and then it would accumulate to quite, maybe half hour, 40 minutes. And then I would use that time to mess them about. Right. They've got all their admin to get done. They might have to prepare for tests the next day. They might have to clean their weapons. They might have to clean the accommodation. But now I'm going to make you lot from the top floor. You lot are going to get all your beds, your lockers, everything, and you're going to move them down to the bottom floor. And you lot are going to move to this room, and that might take an hour. Those hours are precious.
Yeah.
Can they keep on with this bullshit?
Yeah.
And it weeds out the people who can't cope with that, the constant pressure. It might be, that was more mental stuff. It might be physical. I might thrash them physically, beast them. Again, something very simple, holding a weapon out in front of them. Don't put it down. I'll see you in a minute. Seeing who breaks first. It's bullshit at the end of the day. No one's going to be able to hold that out for very long.
Yeah.
But it's just seeing how long are they willing to go. Nothing untoward, we're not torturing people and anything like that. It's just, when we got into the field, so on exercises, it would be, you knew straight away, if it's a lovely sunny day, we're going to get wet. They're going to find a puddle, or they're going to find a lake and put us in it. Or we were going to have to crawl through some mud just to get us in the shit. So can we soldier when our kit is minging? Can we work when we're tired, physically, mentally? Can we make sure our mess tins are absolutely gleaming after we've had our meal? We learned a valuable lesson one time, and there was one member of our troop, one member out of about, I think at this point there might have been about 30, 35 lads. So I'm in training now. I'm recruit green at this point. And it's about week 23, 24. And for some reason, only one of us had cleaned our mess tins. The rest of us got one of the worst thrashings I've ever experienced in my life. And there's a reason behind that. It's not just because we've got a dirty mess tin. It's because that dirty mess tin will breed bacteria. If that bacteria infected us and we became sick, we're unworkable. You can't use us. If you can't use an entire troop of Royal Marines, what good are you on the battlefield? You're not good. One person, I look back on it now and I'm ashamed. I'm like, I can't believe. And it's funny because, you know, we laugh at it now. We got absolutely hammered. The lad whose mess tin was clean didn't. He watched. But it's like, there's reasons why you'll get thrashed. If you go through training and you're spot on all the time. One lad I took through training, he'd been through the army first. And I couldn't pick him up for anything. He was immaculate all the time. Not that I wanted to.
Yeah.
But I was like, this lad's never experienced a thrashing because he's so good. And eventually, he cracked. And we couldn't believe it. I can't remember what he did. He'd done something so unlike him. And then he experienced one of the thrashings that eventually, such a great guy. But, you know, at the time, just couldn't get him for anything. And I had this, so I was a weapons instructor and we had to inspect weapons. Now, your weapon is more important than you are, for obvious reasons. If that's not firing, if it can't fire, if it gets jammed, you're useless.
Yeah.
So it has to be immaculate. Immaculate. And I had this finger, so this one here, my right finger, and I could put my finger into the breech of the weapon and scrape. It hurt, but you'd show no emotion. You'd get in there and you'd scrape around and you'd find, I knew I didn't even have to look at my finger. And the lads, I'd go along the line inspecting them. And so I might have to inspect this section. One of my mates would inspect the next section. And the lads, you'd see their faces drop when I got in on front of their line because they knew that my finger would come out dirty. And that they knew. Yeah. And to be honest, it was one of these things. It was one of these things that. But the thing is, my corporal did that to me.
Yeah,
he could get his finger in there,
sure,
and he'd pull it out, and it got to a point. Like, I remember, he was just a small guy, not your typical what a Royal Marine you think, which not a lot of lads are. But he'd pull his finger out, and he'd look at me, and he'd just be like, and I'd be like, "Yes, corporal." And that you knew you were packing your kit away in what's called getting on the flank. If you stood on the flank, you knew you were in for a thrashing.
Yeah.
It was punishment because you're not up to standard. Looking back on that stuff, you know, we coach a lot now. So if I'm consistently not getting it, why not? How can I help you get better? If you're consistently messing up, you're not cleaning things properly. If if it's an attitude problem, we deal with that. You're going to get thrashed. If it's a problem where you're trying hard, but you're just not meeting the standard, it used to be, well, you're just getting thrashed. We look back on that and think, how's that going to improve you? It's not going to improve you as a soldier. It's just going to make you feel fucked up again. And some lads do. They mess up all the time. Some lads just aren't cut out for it. Yeah. But now and I'm hoping it's stayed the same. Now, if someone was messing up, if they messed up enough, they'd have to get a thrashing for it. But I'd try and help them get better. So, right, this has happened. Why has it happened? You tell me. Well, corporal, I didn't have time. No, that's not an excuse. You do have time. You have time. You didn't get up early enough. So why not you set your alarm half an hour earlier? Or if someone's on sentry, come and get you up half. If you know you need to get up in the field, because how can you operate out in the field?
Yeah.
You need to be able to operate. It's not about operating on camp. Nice, shiny, warm walls, warm rooms. It's how are you operating? Sleep deprived, minimal food, knackered, wet. That's where you need to be at work. Now, don't give me the time excuse, because you have the same time as everybody else. He's performing, you're not. Why? Don't have time. You do. Get up half an hour early. Right. I'm not quite able to clean this properly. Right, I'm going to show you how to do it. And then that's not what we really got. So it changed a little bit in the ways, only in like 10 years, in the fact that, we need to be able to coach these people and make them better. I want you to succeed. I want you to become a Royal Marine. But if you don't pass the standard, I'm not going to lower the standard so you can become a Royal Marine because I passed the standard.
Yeah.
So training was the beginning, really, my coaching.
Yeah.
Coaching life.
Awesome. Fascinating. So quick top change here before we talk about training. So why is Zone 2 so important?
Zone 2 it's about building an aerobic base, so a basic level of aerobic fitness. It's kind of become a bit of a buzzword recently, but Zone 2 should be enjoyable. It should be, and it can be done as you can run, you can bike, you can row. But it's about keeping your heart rate in that kind of that blue area, Zone 2 on your. There's a few different zones. Some might have 7 heart rate zones, but typically, if you've got like a polar watch and a polar heart rate, it'd be 5 zones. 5 being in, up into your max heart rate zone. Yeah, and then Zone 2. So just building a base level of fitness. Now, what it's actually doing, it's basically allowing your body to produce more mitochondria. And the mitochondria is basically the energy cell, the energy of the cell itself. So it's building more for you to be able to run further for longer, and just basically improving your aerobic fitness. So everyone, 2 sessions. If you really want to start improving your aerobic fitness, it's not just about starting to run until you're out of breath all the time. It should be able to run for 30, 40, maybe up to an hour, enjoyably, holding a conversation, roughly. So you should be able to speak a sentence or a paragraph without having to gasp for air.
Yeah.
But yeah, Zone 2, I've really started to improve my own fitness by doing that within the last kind of couple of years, and it's enjoyable.
It's my favorite now. Like, I hated it when we first started doing it, and I sort of played with it a little bit before you started coaching me, and now I just love it. I think because at first it was kind of like whip band, so I'd be like, I'm going so slow, and I'm like, I think I said to you, I was like, it was like granddad running.
Yep.
And it must be broke.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, obviously that pace started to pick up and I could run a little bit faster.
Yep.
And then you're like, and then it just like switched for me and it like totally makes sense.
It's where the magic happens.
Yeah. And I found it as well, like, say, like I wake up, I'm like terribly recovered or something. And, I want to do a workout, but like, I'm just like, I'm sleep deprived or whatever. Just in like 20 to 30 minutes, Zone 2, it's like, because you get that little lift. Yeah. But it's not like going for, because I always used to just do 5Ks like all the time when I was younger.
Yeah.
Like, wake up rough, I'll go for a 5K, like, and then just blast yourself. Then you get the adrenaline, and then afterwards you just crash.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I'm, big fan.
Like I say, it should be enjoyable. Not many people well, yes, lots of people enjoy running, but those new to running, if I said, let's go for a run, the first thought is,
yeah,
because it's running, it's effort. It takes a lot of effort. But Zone 2 should be about building your base. Think about it as like laying the foundations for you to get fitter and stronger. And even strength athletes need some form of aerobic fitness just for heart health, heart and lung health. And just doesn't have to be hard. It can just be nice and controlled. Stick a podcast on, listen to music, but just move.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Zone 2, definitely important for improving your aerobic fitness.
Yeah. Awesome. And if anyone wants to know about zone training, there's lots of podcasts and things talking about loads different zones.
Loads. It depends how far down the rabbit hole you want to go with it.
Yeah. Yeah. On that, so the Zone 3, they talk about Zone 3 as being like the dead zone.
Yeah.
That, because I found as well, like if I went out and didn't look at my monitor and, oh yeah, I'm doing zone 2, and then I'd come back and it'd be all in zone 3, and then they talk about this is the gray zone. Like, what's that all about? Like, what's wrong with zone 3, for example?
See, I don't really think there is anything wrong with it. Studies might say this or that. This is the best way to improve anaerobic training, anaerobic thresholds. This is the best way to improve zone 2 training. But I try not to get too bogged down in that, because at the end of the day, you're still training. You're still improving. You're still out doing something that those who are sat on their ass aren't doing.
Yeah.
So I'd never be like, oh, I'm in zone 3. This is not good for me. Or this isn't doing much. It still is. You're still exercising. So I would never get really bogged down in that.
I actually can't do as much of it. Would that be the argument? Like, yeah, because you can't go zone 5 every day.
No, definitely not.
Because you'll burn yourself out.
Yeah.
So it's the zone 2 thing is you can do more at less risk.
Yeah. Yeah. And, zone 3, like I said, zone 5, you aren't staying in there for long. Although on my high rocks in Manchester, I was in that zone for an hour and 3 minutes.
Wow. Impressive.
Which is mental. I'd had the chest monitor on as well, so it was as accurate as it was going to be. An hour and 3 minutes. So it's pretty mental.
Yeah. Now you say it's mental, which that's something I want to go into. So the mentality of that. So something I heard on a podcast someone talking about zone 5 self-talk. What comes in at that moment? What's the message? What's the voice in your head? And I started to notice,
stop. Now.
Oh, yeah, like, have you ever noticed, is there a narrative there? Like, do you notice, like, Goggins talks about this and like learning like more about himself and in those moments. And I've certainly seen some dark times in those zone 5, or it's usually it's usually kettlebell front squats.
Yeah.
Hell, like they take me to a really dark place.
Yeah.
I've been like over there on one of the conditioning classes, and all of a sudden, I'm just this little scared boy who's not being picked for football. Or like all that darkness comes in, and but it's fascinating, isn't it? Like, what's going on there? And what's your experience with that?
I guess it's starting to. I'm pretty sure if we then give you those same kettlebells now and got you to do the same thing, you wouldn't be that scared boy. So it's experience.
Yeah.
Because you'd know it's coming. You would know that feeling is coming, so you can come to terms with that feeling. And this is why a lot of people fall off the exercise bandwagon, because it's effort at the end of the day, and they don't like the feeling of that physical pain, because it is painful. It's not enjoyable, really, but it's the way I think about it is, and it's understanding it from a biological level. So I understand that, right, if I start to up my intensity, my body is going to require some more oxygen. It's also going to require more blood to pump that oxygen to the muscles which are going to be working. So in order for that to happen, I'm going to have to take some more oxygen in. My breathing rate is going to increase. In order to stop me from overheating and overcooking, my body will secrete sweat to help cool the skin, to help cool the body. Understanding those things happen because your body is an amazing piece of engineering. You can come to terms with that, right? This is happening now for a reason. And the more you recognize those signals, that initial raise of core temperature, those first beads of sweat, those first deep breaths coming, you can start to deal with that, but only through experience. And then this is what really irks me, when people start and then they just stop because they don't like that feeling. It's unfortunate, but it's absolutely necessary for your body to adapt and progress and get stronger. And if you are just completely happy in a state of homeostasis, not moving, not doing anything, not breathing heavy, not doing it. If you're happy with that, then fine. But you aren't going to live that long. You're not going to do that well. You've got to be able to overcome these feelings, these physical feelings, and push through those barriers in order to grow.
Yeah.
So when you look at it from a, like I say, biological point, and this is what I try to tell the kids, this is going to happen, then this will happen, then this will happen, but you're going to be okay.
Yeah.
And then they recognize that these are happening. Oh, okay, this is meant to happen.
Yeah.
Your body is such an unbelievable organism. And the more I learn about it, the more I realize I don't really know about it.
Yeah.
However, if you treat it well, fuel it well, respect it, it'll serve you well.
Mm.
It's just unfortunate not many people, not many. Many people in our lives do, because we're in an echo chamber of other people who want to. But the very vast majority of people are very unhealthy, especially in the Western world.
Feels quite polarized at the moment, like with everything. But like polarized as in you've got like CrossFit and High Rocks and, Ultra and all that. And then you've got just like the complete opposite end of the scale. I don't know if that's an accurate assessment, but it seems like, if you're in it, you're in it. You're into fitness and stuff. And then, you're possibly, and obviously there's some in the middle, but
there's lots in the middle. There's lots on the fence. I see it daily in here. I see it, not in this gym, but, I see it all the time. Those on the fence, they love the idea of becoming fitter and stronger. They're just not willing to put the work in to get there.
Yeah.
It's fitness and strength isn't given to you. And like our, just a generation or two before us, much more manual labor, didn't really need to do much. We didn't evolve exercising. We evolved running towards and away from prey and predator. We evolved providing and moving for the family. We didn't evolve sat behind a desk. We didn't evolve eating processed, shitty foods. Like the amount of work we have to do now to eat and consume energy is, don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
Just sit at the desk and we can get a Domino's right now if we wanted.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, it takes effort, willpower and drive to want to, but also have to. A lot of people want to get there, but they don't realize that they need to get there until it's too late. Until you get the pre-diabetes knocking at the door. Until you get, obviously there is some anomalies. You can be as fit as a fiddle and someone can drop dead. I know that. Someone can get cancer just like that. I know it. It can happen. But for me, it's about giving myself the very best chance to get as far as I can in life in terms of age, but having as much vitality as possible. So for me, the best ending that I want to my life is just to go to sleep when I'm about 100 and something years old and not wake up. But not just go to sleep. I want to go to sleep that night after being able to run if I wanted to do, or being able to lift some weight if I wanted to do, and then just knock it on the head.
I think you and I are very similar like that. I think we've clearly sort of got the same, about the longevity side of it and stuff. And, I'm obsessed with it. But some people, do you ever get someone talking about like health anxiety? So always because you're health anxious or whatever. I'm like, no. No, I'm really interested in it. That's my hobby.
Yeah.
Like, I love respecting my body and treating it as well as I can, and obviously you've got children and I don't yet, and older. So I'm kind of like, right, well, I need to make sure like everything's working.
Yeah.
And then, so you can play with your kids and hopefully grandkids and stuff like that. And I just think it's, obviously I posted about this on Instagram the other day, and it was like, I used to think my body was against me. And I realized that it's doing everything that it deems necessary to you. And sometimes that shows up in strange ways.
You just have to look at nature, at animals. They don't think like we do. What's their purpose in life? It's to recreate, procreate, and not die.
Yeah.
It's always looking for its next meal, and it will survive any way possible. Your brain is doing something very similar. All it wants you to do is not die. It wants you to stay alive. It wants you to be as safe as possible. For instance, if I said to you now, let's go and try and back squat 200 kilo, you're not going to be able to lift it because, one, you've never been up to that weight before, but two, your brain's like, this is danger, put it down.
Yeah.
So your brain, from a central nervous system point, is trying to keep you alive in the best way possible. Very similar to what nature does, what animals do. It's just we understand that the need to keep ourselves fit, to fuel ourselves with the right foods, to get enough sleep. But many people don't. Many people think it's a badge of honor to survive off 3 or 4 hours a night. It's not. It's absolutely not.
Come to that realization because you've come from a culture that was probably, I'm assuming, can't watch sleep. And
no, definitely after I left the Marines.
Have you read the Matthew Walker book?
I've listened to a few podcasts with him, and again, someone like him, he's brought the whole sleep thing into the mainstream, or again, the mainstream in our echo chamber, and I'll keep referring it to as that because we speak to and converse with people of like-minded, but then I look at my extended friends and family, and they don't, a lot of them don't give a shit.
Yeah.
So they don't know about it. Training athletes, knowing that they need 9 to 10 hours of sleep.
Yeah.
Proper athletes, professional athletes. Us lot can get, 7 to 8. But, surviving off anything less than 6, it's not good for you in the long run.
No.
It's going to catch up to you at some point.
The thing is people have got so used to living in a sleep-deprived state. This is what Matthew Walker talks about, is that because they go, I'm fine on 5 hours. I'm fine on 5.5 hours. But it's just they've never known what it's like.
Yeah. How much better would you be off 6 or 7?
Yeah.
Yeah. And when they go into bed at midnight, at 1 o'clock, they've been on their phone, sucked into the laptop or watching Netflix.
I feel like it's never been harder, but it's also never been easier.
Yeah.
Healthy.
Yeah.
Just,
yeah, definitely. I like that.
Netflix and all the rest of it, but also this device is amazing. And it has all, fitness trackers and all the rest of it. And, you can find out anything. And podcasts and, there's so much knowledge out there now.
It's definitely the most comfiest that the human race has ever been in our world. Obviously, there's lots of stuff in the world at the moment which isn't going very well for people. In our world, in our societies, we've never been more comfier, but we've never been sicker. We've never been lazier. We've never been weaker.
Yeah.
Now, they say that we're an aging population. I disagree with that. We are an aging population, but we're an aging sick population.
Yeah.
So you've got people who will live far longer than what our ancestors lived. And modern day medicine, as brilliant as it is prolonging sickness for a lot of people. There's no some people are living 10, 20, possibly 30 years in a state of just sickness, just continual decline until death. And this is why I put so much emphasis on little things that you can do in your life without even touching on nutrition or fitness. Drinking enough water, getting enough, good quality sleep, and walking, getting enough steps in, moving, mobility work, 10 to 15 minutes per day of focused mobility work. If you do those 3 things, if you drink enough water, 2.5, 3 liters a day, if you get 7 to 8 hours sleep, and if you walk 10,000 plus steps a day and do 10 to 15 minutes, that's all you need to do. That's all you really need to do to begin.
There's the hot take. So what's the 10 to 15 minutes? What would you, if someone was just starting out, what would you recommend they do? Something simple and
just learning some routines that are going to take your joints through a full range of motion. So we look at us sat at this desk. This is what most people will do all day, 8-9 hours a day. We need to be able to take ourselves from this flexed position, this triple flexed position with this heavy head hanging forward, to this extended position. See,
this just a practice.
Is it? I still want that to sit in it for 8 hours a day.
Oh yeah.
This kind of flexed fetal position almost promotes sadness.
Sure.
This promotes power, promotes strength, promotes vitality. Lots of people don't ever get to this position. Up tall, nice, shoulders out, chest up.
Yeah.
It's not about being a soldier and studs in tension. But this, if someone walks in a room like this, ooh, who's this guy?
Yeah.
If someone walks in a room like this, he needs
So like totally different.
you know, and people are just sat here constantly.
Yeah.
And this requires no effort. This does. But, you know, I always liken health and fitness to like money in the bank. It's your pension pot at the end of the day. We work and work and work and work so that we can enjoy retirement. But if you can't move well in retirement, what good are you? You've done all that work, 50, 60, 70 years of work to sit on your ass and do nothing.
Yeah.
Nah. For me, my kids will give me grandchildren, hopefully, if I'm lucky. I want to be playing with them, fighting, rolling, playing football, running after them, and even their kids. I want to be around for them.
Yeah.
That's my goal. Yeah. I want people to look at me and be like, he's nearly 100 years old.
Yeah.
Check him out. Not fit, not looks, not the way he looks. I'm not bothered about that. You know, aesthetics, it comes with what you put in. It will do eventually. But I'm not like, look at him, he's nearly 100, he's got a six-pack. Don't give a shit. Look at him, he's nearly 100, he's goblet squatting, he's kettlebell swinging, he's running, he's lifting, he's doing all the things a 60-year-old man can do, or a 50-year-old man can do. Wow. There's nothing in this manual of life to say you are just going to shrivel into the chair position.
Yeah.
But you will if you let it happen. And that's why you see so many the stereotypical elderly person is a little doddery old woman. Yeah. All right. The only reason she's like that is because she sat on her ass and she retired and done nothing. That ain't for me. No way.
Yeah, I agree, man. Yeah. I think, it's so important. It's so important. I want to give you a scenario, actually, on that subject. So someone has an office job. Let's say they're limited to their number of breaks. There'll be one either side of lunch, 10 minutes. The chair's a pile of shit. You know, it's a small company. They can't afford, proper ergonomic, the standing desk, anything like that.
Yep.
What could they do to sort of mitigate the downsides of being sat down all day? Obviously we spoke about, being engaged with your posture.
Yep.
What are the things that would give the most benefit in a short amount of time?
First one, most importantly, is make sure you're hydrated and you've got enough water. Have to have this. I might need a top up in a minute. You have to be hydrated. Secondly, taking your joints. Thank you. Taking your joints through a full range of motion. It's not hard now just to Google, YouTube, hip mobility, shoulder, thoracic mobility routine. It's not hard. We can find it.
Yep.
Adequately hydrated.
So they should search on YouTube for thoracic.
Yeah, thoracic mobility, shoulder health. Just, keywords.
Yeah.
And there's a plethora of things which come up. Or find yourself someone who knows what they're talking about.
Have you got any of those on your channel?
I have got a few, yeah.
Well,
I can link some stuff.
We can link some stuff.
Yep. Hydration, mobility, taking regular breaks away from the screen. So looking in the distance, if you're lucky enough to have a window, look out of it. Try and focus on something in the distance. Just to take your eyes and to strengthen your eyes. People will be like, my eyes are killing it in the day. They might have had to wear glasses now, but eye health is just as important. I'm lucky enough to have two eyes which work pretty well. I'm nearly in my 40s now. My immediate family all wear glasses. It's weird. I don't. So I look after my eyes. They're a muscle. At the end of the day, we need to be able to strengthen them. There's a great drill I've learned. It's called pencil push-ups. So you'd get a pen or a pencil. You'd look at the tip of the pencil. I get my kids doing these. And I'd focus on the tip of the pencil and I'd bring it all the way in and then I'd look at something in the distance, then I'd look back to the pencil, then I'd take it all the way back out, then I'd focus on something in the distance. So my eyes are continually focusing on near and far.
Yeah.
So that's strengthening my lenses, strengthening the eye itself.
Not before. That's
Brilliant. Good thing to do as well is eye circles. So literally keeping your head still and trying to look as far over to one point as you can, and then around all the way. Sometimes it just hurts a tiny bit because your eyes are not used to going in that full range, but then do circles, 3 one way, 3 the other way.
Wow.
There's an amazing little drill to do if your eyes are dead like fuzzy at night, and you just massage the tops right underneath you. You can feel where you put your eyes, your hands here, and you'll massage that for about 10 seconds, and then you'll massage just to the side, then below, then on the inside near the tear duct. So just roll and massage slightly, and then just lightly press directly in the center of your eyes, very lightly, and your eyes feel like they're brand new straight after. So if I'm watching telly and my eyes are starting to flag a little bit, I'll put you don't have to keep your eyes closed. You can just massage lightly in these 4 places, and then lightly press the tip right in the middle of the eyes with your eyes closed on that bit, and your eyes feel brand new.
Wow. I didn't know you had an eye protocol.
Brand new, always. It's a muscle. It needs to be trained as well.
Sense now. That's awesome. Are you familiar with Radio 4's Desert Island Discs?
No.
Are you not?
No.
So basically, it's like...
You should have prepped me and I would have learned about it.
So it's like it's a bit of a pastime. They've been doing it for years, and they get famous people on and they interview them, and they have this thing where they're stranded on a desert island,
right?
And they can only save 10 discs from the waves, and it's about music. So they'll pick 10 albums they would keep on a desert island.
Yeah.
So I've rehashed it to be Desert Island slip disc.
Right.
So
sound very nice, mate.
It did sound very nice. I might have to call it a better name. Bear with me.
Okay.
And the idea is maybe you're starting to lose your mind. And how many exercises can you keep in your brain? What are you going to save from the waves? So I'm going to say that you've got 5 exercises that you can keep to keep you from slipping disc.
I only need 1.
You only need 1. Oh, this is great.
Just 1. You can keep your other 4.
Okay.
The Turkish get up.
The Turkish get up. That's Andy's thing, isn't it?
It is Andy's thing. I taught Andy that one.
Did you?
Yes.
Interesting.
And then he took it to another level.
Yeah. I was going to say, do you want to demonstrate one? Could we get it on?
I've got it on my YouTube channel if you want to.
YouTube?
Yeah, we've got a little demonstration. Yeah, I've got a little tutorial on it as well.
Mate, you don't know how happy I am that I've got the hot take on that. Just 1 exercise.
That's it. The reason being, it requires full range of motion of your hips. It needs mobility within your T-spine, your thoracic spine. It requires stability of the shoulder joint, both to take your weight and also hold the weight above your head. It requires strength for you to hold a kettlebell, a load overhead, whilst in a lunge position, and then stand tall. You have to get your body weight up as well as the kettlebell, and then get yourself all the way back down to the ground again. It's, in my opinion, if I could only do 1 exercise for the rest of my life, that'd be it. I can do it for strength.
Yeah.
I can lift heavy load overhead.
Yeah.
I can do it for conditioning.
Mm-hmm.
I've done it for an hour before, similar to what Andy did.
Yeah.
Just not as heavy. It's one of the kings of exercises. In terms of general movement, strength, coordination, mobility, balance, that you can't beat it. Tell me one. Give me another exercise which covers all those bases. You won't be able to.
That's awesome. Well, you're going to have to teach me.
I will.
I've never done one. All right. What about the neck? Training neck.
Mine is almost as long as a giraffe. And I don't train it. So I think sometimes I've recently changed my pillow because I kept getting a bit of a creaky neck and it pulling, and changing my pillows helped massively.
You got like one of those temper ones that have been
It's similar. It's bloody 45 quid pillow, but it's
type.
Yeah, like a memory foam type thing, and
got like a gap in.
no, it's just like hard.
Okay.
Hard. My head will go into it, but training the neck, it's a tricky one. Rugby players should definitely do it. Combat sport athletes should definitely do it. But training it properly can be very dangerous if not done properly. Sorry. So training it can be very dangerous. You see a lot of people like doing the old Mike Tyson rolls on their neck and that, so their head's on the floor and they're rolling. You know, people like him, they're an anomaly, but they know how to do it. You can look at Mike Tyson in his heyday, rolling his body round on his neck.
Yeah.
He's probably done that for hundreds of hours.
Sure.
You can give it a go, but you're probably going to fuck your neck up. So it's learning how to do it properly. Now, something that we can all do very simply, every single direction that you can look and take your head, you can look that way and just stop yourself. So I'm effectively pushing, holding that. So I'm isometrically building strength within the muscle group. I can try and look down. So I'm pausing, hold that for 5 seconds. I can try and look up, pause, over to the side, pause. There's loads of different things you can do to strengthen the neck without putting it through too much stress. Putting your body weight on your neck and rolling your neck and stuff. Or you see the old boxers head brace bracket with a weight on top and they're doing that.
Yeah.
Again, it serves its purpose. And those boxers know what they're doing and, you know, how they're doing it. The everyday person, probably not the best to do.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't train my neck. It's just really long. I wish it was like a couple inches shorter. But, hey, it's what it is.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. So, like, you seem to me as like a pretty calm person. I don't know whether I'm just seeing.
Depends where I am.
How was the last time you lost your rag?
Yesterday morning with the girls. I find it challenging as a father. In terms of, obviously, I've come from a very disciplined background. The Marines, if you tell someone to do it, or if you get asked to do it, you get it done. It's fucking different with kids. They do what the hell they want to do.
Yeah.
And I find that I really struggle with that. So if I've asked them to do something, they don't do it, it's hard for me to accept. But I was having a good conversation with someone today about it. And at the end of the day, they're not Royal Marines. They're not going to do what I ask them to do all the time. So I need to kind of like step back from that, accept it, try and raise 3 little ladies that will look after themselves, look after their stuff, their kit. They'll tidy away. They'll do stuff like that.
Yeah.
Not just be lazy layabouts that do nothing. But yeah, some things, obviously within me, I've been trained to be a violent human being when needed to be. That's still there. It'll always will be there. You can never switch off from that. But I'd like to think that guy will never have to come out ever again. But he's there if he needs to be, especially when it comes to my family.
Yeah.
If I need to look after them, they're getting looked after.
Yeah.
I feel as a man, everybody should learn, not even just a man, as I want my girls to learn some form of martial art, know how to look after themselves. It'll teach discipline. I highly rate jiu-jitsu, judo, boxing, kickboxing, just something to learn how to defend themselves if it ever needed to happen.
Sure.
I'll definitely be teaching my girls in case the worst happened. They know how to defend themselves or give themselves the very best chance to not get attacked. We'll put it that way. So everybody should learn some form. But we obviously during the Marines, it has to be controlled aggression. So you use it, but it's controlled. You'll never lose your rag fully and see red because you've lost your ability to work then.
Yeah.
It has to be able to be switched on and switched off literally at the flick of a switch.
Yeah.
If you see red and continue to rage, what can you do? You know, we're capable of doing anything. Probably not good if you're just in this red raw state where you're just absolutely raging. It has to be controlled. You know, so yeah, I'm like anyone. I'll lose my shit at some stuff, but I like to think, well, I know I can control it.
It's like the zones stuff isn't it? Again, it's like the training. It's like you know you can go to that level, but you need to bring it back down quickly.
Yeah,
otherwise you're gonna just lose your mind or burn out.
Yeah. It's no good for anyone to be angry at stuff. I try not to let stuff bother me. The road, for example.
The what, sorry?
The road.
The road.
The roads.
Oh yeah.
There's so many idiots who drive on the road.
Yeah.
And you know, they forget they're in charge of a machine capable of wiping out an entire family.
Yep.
And some people don't know how to drive fully, and that can sometimes wind me up. Again, try not to let it come out, especially in front of the kids. But yeah.
Road rage.
It's not good. Yeah, it's not good for anyone. But yeah, going back to what I feel about being a man, especially today, I'll go back to when I joined the Marines. If I went to someone with a problem and maybe it was, you know, I might have had PTSD or something like that. If I'd have said something in the early 2000s, the late 90s, early 2000s, it would have been, fucking hell, mate, get your shit together. Stop being a pussy. That's not the best way to deal with stuff like this. And I'm lucky in that my short, 10 years, my short career in the military saw a huge mindset shift in that. And now to this day, it's, what am I on? 13 years since I was in Afghanistan, 14 years. We still message each other now regularly. How's everyone doing? Is everyone okay? So that mindset of being a tough man and taking everything on your shoulders, being a burden, not burdening anybody, that's kind of changed now, which I'm glad, because you shouldn't be suffering in silence. But at the same time, in my opinion, you should be able to have a certain amount of strength and not just let something define who you are. And if, I feel the mental health card's been used quite a lot in the wrong way. In the wrong way. People will use it so easily to get time off work. And it devalues, those people who truly need it, who truly are going through shit times. Will probably feel like, well, just another one who's pulling the mental health card, or they're just another one. Do you know what I mean? And that's a stigma in itself, which should be squashed.
Yeah, I feel like at the moment it's like this scale, like it goes one way and then it goes the other, and I think the answer's somewhere in the middle. And certainly, I can only speak from my experience as a man. So as a man, I feel like sometimes maybe you need a bit more tough love. Sometimes, maybe not, full on old school. Maybe do it. Maybe sometimes we need to talk, but then maybe sometimes I need to say to you, mate, get your fucking shit together. Plan on. And I look back on my own experience, and I think, when did I need someone to tell me to man up? When did I need someone to give me a cuddle? And that's balance.
And that's where we need to find that balance. Yeah, exactly that. And it's a tough one. But if you're around people who like I know, I can count on my hand who I could say, get your fucking shit together. Stop being a dick. There's other people who if I said that to, they'd crumble.
Just break them,
So it's knowing where to use that. And obviously a lot of lads who I know are going through a lot of challenges at the moment. Battles in their own head. The war might be over, but not for them. So it's tough, but I feel as a man and as a father, we should be strong.
Yeah.
For the family, physically fit, strong, able, but also compassionate and able to talk, and not just maybe generations above are just shun their sons or daughters.
Yeah.
But being able to open the door and be like, look, I'm always here and I love you unconditionally.
What are your tips on staying married?
Wow. Where's Vicky gone? Compromising. You got to learn to compromise. Sometimes I don't do that.
You compromised on?
Oh, God. I don't know, just learning. And I think marriage, by no means am I a marriage counsellor or maybe even any good at marriage, but
you're still married?
Yeah, still married. Yeah, we're like 10 years. We're 10 years deep now. So
amazing.
Learning to love them no matter what. Learning, we all bicker, obviously, but it's trying to put those things aside. Vicky and I are both lucky in the fact that both of our parents are still together as well. Which it's not very common, is it?
Common, so
not common at all. Yeah. I think we spend sometimes a bit too much time apart, even though we run and work at the same place. It's hard when we've got the 3 kids, and they obviously take priority over everything. So it's just trying to be a team, being a team together for the purpose of those 3 little darlings that we're bringing up, and compromising where we need to. We don't go out enough together.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully that'll change once the girls get a little bit older.
Yeah.
And
didn't like I've got it together, man.
I did not expect that one.
Yeah. No, it does. And it's nice to see, and obviously, I was going to ask about getting children into fitness and stuff, but to me, it seems really obvious. It's leading by example, right? And they're obviously being brought up around a gym and stuff like that. So I presume that's going to be probably the best approach.
Yeah, we're lucky that they only know this gym. They only know people who work out.
Yeah.
Again, they're in an echo chamber of seeing our gym members work hard and compete. It has to rub off, and I hope it does. I don't want to push them into anything they don't want to do. I want them to learn as many different sports as possible. But I want them to want to do it.
Yeah.
I don't want them to do it because I'm telling them to do it.
Yeah.
And for me, what will be one of my proudest achievements is if they do things because fitness, competitions, sports, because they want to do it.
Yeah.
Seeing Libby did cross country last year in the horrible weather.
Yeah.
7 years old at the time, cracked it. Didn't phase her. She's tiny, wet through.
Yeah.
Didn't let it bother her. Can't teach that.
No.
You can't teach it.
No.
She either wants to do it or she doesn't. And I'll never make them do anything they don't want to do. So the second they want to stop gymnastics, I'll ask them why.
Yeah.
The second they want to start something else up, might be darts, let's go for it.
Yeah.
Might be something completely different. But as long as they want and hopefully keep a good attitude towards fitness and eating well, eating the right foods.
Yeah.
I've done my job.
Yeah.
We have done our jobs.
Awesome. We don't have too much longer left, so a few different directions as we can go. Would you rather speak about high rocks or nutrition?
I'm going to say high rocks. But we can touch on nutrition if you wish.
Do a real quick nutrition, because I've got a really selfish
Go on, then.
thing I want to do. So I thought it might be quite fun to compare a day in the life, an average day.
Yep.
For you and I, and compare.
Okay.
So obviously we probably train at different times, maybe. But so first hour of the day, what you doing?
I'm in here. I've had a black coffee and a big beaker of water.
Black coffee.
Yep.
Okay. I am the same. I might have some water or maybe some electrolytes.
Yep.
Before I train, and then I'll train, and then post workout I'll have. At the moment, I'm having some egg whites, some beef protein isolate, some greens powder, fish oil, local honey. Cool. Maybe a rice cake.
Yep.
Something like that. What are you doing after that?
First meal. So I'm in here from 6 till 8. First meal will be about 9 o'clock. I will have, and this is every day.
Yeah.
3 poached eggs, sourdough toast, spread with avocado on.
Yeah.
Probably a half or a full avocado. Cottage cheese.
Yeah.
Cooked cashew nuts, spinach,
Cashew nuts.
Vicky will tell you, does something to them. We soak them, gets rid of something inside them. Soak them and then cook them.
I'll be like lectins or something.
Something like that, yeah.
Okay.
Cooked cashew nuts, spinach, asparagus, mushrooms. I have bee pollen on there. Bee pollen, yeah. I have sometimes either bacon or smoked salmon.
Okay.
So it's a large plate of food.
So it's 2 hours fasted, then a big breakfast.
Yep.
Of covering a lot of good fats.
Good fats,
Protein.
yeah. Healthy proteins, yeah. Some carbohydrate.
Okay.
And more water. Water's going down constantly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what time is this? What do you say? Just say 8?
9.
9 o'clock.
About 9-ish. Maybe 10.
So normally, after I have my sort of liquid breakfast, really, post-workout thing, I'll do, what time am I going to be on? Like 8 o'clock, something like that. Then I'll go to work, and I won't eat until 12 o'clock. At 12 o'clock, I'll have maybe just like some chicken thighs and maybe an apple, so a bit of fibre. So it's kind of carnivore.
Yep.
Or I might have some salmon or some mackerel. What are you having? And also any thoughts, like feel free to interject.
No, like this is why, nutrition is individual to each person.
Right.
You're eating real food there.
Yeah.
You're not eating processed shit.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with this food that you're eating. I would eat it as well. I will have
cheese as well. So
yeah. It's not like you're loading up on sweets and chocolate and crisps and all that, and cake and all that office-based shit that is plaguing our offices.
my office too.
Yeah,
I'm the only one.
and you'll be like looked at. You'll be frowned upon almost. Like, look at that weirdo.
Oh yeah, they often they know I'm weird. So in many ways,
but it's mad. It's mad. Like you're eating to fuel your body. They're eating to fix a hunger pang of I need sugar. And they're fixing it with utter shit.
Yeah.
Which is just, I've got so much. That winds me up. If you want to get me going, that winds me up.
Yeah.
Is just people being a dustbin, eating processed crap.
And it's processed crap, and it's like they're not allowing any gaps. So that's one thing.
Grazing.
Grazing, like that I've really just stopped doing once I really started understanding like glucose levels and stuff. And like, okay, so basically you just want to spike that as little as possible.
Yeah.
So I'll aim for kind of like 4 meals, maybe 3 to 4, and nothing in between.
Yeah.
Maybe water. Or if I'm not training them, I'll fast all day and maybe just do OMAD.
Yeah.
One meal a day in the evening.
Yeah.
Right. So where are we up to now? So that's a lot for me.
So round about 1 o'clock, I'll usually have some like wholemeal pittas, pita breads, and then inside there'll be some form of meat, like decent protein, maybe I'd cook some steak, put that in there, some ham sometimes, some like from butchers, not your processed stuff, or as little minimally processed as possible.
Ham's a difficult one.
Yeah, it is because it is. Yeah, it is. Sometimes I will have some Greek yogurt with some chia seeds, maybe some local honey in there. Sometimes a bit of dark chocolate in there too. Some blueberries, maybe banana as well, around about time.
Yeah.
And then, so that's about 12:30, 1 o'clock. And then I will train at 3.
Yeah.
3 p.m. And then I won't eat again until about 9:15.
Oh, so you don't have a post?
I will have, if I've done a big training session, then I will have sometimes from my old Dan John days. So Dan John is an amazing strength coach. And when I was like trying to put a bit of bulk on, his thing is peanut butter and jam sandwiches.
I've seen that in your story.
Yep. So I'll have like peanut butter and jam.
See, I wondered about that. They always say like Pakistan indigo, like not so much, but the similar jam with me that like jam that. Yeah. So have that. So, like what? Yeah. Yeah, you've got to have like you keep it fuller for longer as well. Yeah. Like protein shake. Whey or whey protein. Grass fed. What type of whey? Netica. Whey isolate. So organic grass fed. I might have to try that because decent. Yeah, I'm on the beef isolate stuff, which I heard about from Andy. And I recently was like thinking about it, and then I did some research. I'm like, beef protein. Isn't that just collagen? Collagen. Why don't we have collagen to post-workout? And you look into it, collagen doesn't contain it's not complete protein, have all the amino acids. And then start taking egg white. Maybe I might need to go to whey. Yeah, I think, but like normal, like my protein whey, like doesn't agree with me. No. But maybe I need some any quality. That's it's I'll have collagen in my morning coffee. Okay. And MCT oil. Yeah. Yeah, I played around with the MCT oil to sustain ketosis. Yeah. I got the glucose monitor in the end. I just got a cheap one. Yeah. Which has been fascinating, just to like see, what spikes and what doesn't. Yeah. But I think, the MCT oil would be a good addition to my black coffee. I didn't mention that. Yeah, I'll have that post workout. Yeah. Massive cafetiere. Yeah. So you've done your evening meal. My evening meal would be, I might have like a protein yogurt middle of the day. Then, or something high protein, basically. And then evening, I would usually have, so I try and keep it as simple as possible. But I usually have like 2 tater, like mash or some sort of like fried potatoes that with sweet potato, not potato. I put some spinach in there. Booze. Then I'll switch out the protein. So it'll be like a steak or chicken. So, yeah. Right. Like that. Yeah. Something similar to my whatever big we pay. Yeah. Steaks. Mm-hmm. Just sometimes when we got there. Yeah. Like decent foods. Yeah. But just trying to stick away from, label, putting loads of sauce to food like that. You can season food with salt, say, but at least fat and steak, cooked it, like, because of that. Cooking water. Yeah. So I feel like your diet seems quite similar to mine, which is quite high in fat, but almost like keto levels, but I also have carbs. It sounds similar.
Yeah.
I was actually wondering if I was going wrong there with a little bit too much fat.
But again, it's all on how you feel.
Yeah.
You know, I don't count calories. I don't
No.
put macros.
No.
I just eat real food. I feel like I need some more energy. Get more food in my.
Yeah.
I'll look at my hydration. I'm going to come with a lot. Yes, I need some more. Or I might be training too hard. Training, but back.
And I think like mixing it up's really important as well. Like, you know, so some days you might have 4 meals, some days 3. You have 2 one day. If you don't have one, so if you know that's sort of like mimicking how we would have lived ancestry. But yeah, I understand, like, I'm not saying I'm a picture of health, but it's just like focus on high protein, the rest of them.
Smart. Eliminate.
Yeah, elimination.
Eliminate.
Yeah.
High process.
Yeah,
High still good food. Don't drink Coke. Fat is hot. Get out of the devil. But for you, have every now and then. Fruit when you eat. Fruit juices.
I do actually have orange or apple juice, but I only have that post workout.
Yeah, again, we're going to use it now.
Yeah.
Use it. If you're just sat with this,
Yeah. No, I wouldn't have it.
snap in a box of orange juice.
Yeah.
You've got a problem.
And I resisted that for years. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Did a bit of research and stuff. But how we've done.
So, fine.
So on that, lastly, supplements. I want to ask you what supplements to take. So I think that take quite a few, like I do. There's lots of stuff out there. But supplements to avoid, and obviously, you know, steroids and stuff, pre-workout.
Pre-workouts.
Yeah.
I don't think that there are some good ones out there. I feel people need pre-workout to get their mind back to training. They need to give themselves what they ask. You don't need a pre-workout to get you ready for training. We've got a goal. That should be enough.
Yeah.
My pre-workout would consist, and I'm talking about pre-workouts which are full of sugar, full of caffeine.
Yeah.
Like this shit.
Yeah.
No. I don't know. Paul's got it. You know them, just.
Yeah.
You've seen them.
Turbo.
Yeah, it's all like, yeah. I will have, again, I train at about 3, so about 2 o'clock I'm having black coffee. Protein side, bit full of water, a lake black powder, beating. No others in there whatsoever. Like to go.
What's beta alanine?
It's something which kind of gives your muscles that extra little pop. That gives them a little bit more endurance. I'll put some creatine in there as well.
5 grams.
Yeah, 5 grams. But yeah, beta-alanine, sometimes a bit to your face. Weird.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just every night, like you scrunch your face up, feel it, but it's nothing. You've not got a high off it. You've not got tingles. More for what's doing. Seems naturally killing. Things in the body as well. So it's
yeah. So
that's all I'd have. But avoid all pre-workouts, intro. So all the gimmicks. There's some decent stuff out. Lots. It's the reason why the supplements work really.
Yeah.
Because it preys on them. And snake oil salesman.
Yeah.
You need this one. You need some real food.
Yeah.
Hydrated, get electrolytes and give it.
What electronics?
Just a basic powder. Electrolyte
What
powder.
organism?
I've got it from Bull.
Okay.
Sodium, potassium, spice. Done. Tiny little thing. There you go. Water tastes a bit salty. That's it.
See, yes, because I've been looking recently. I've been trying to find one with the right ratios, like cis ones and stuff. But I'm like full of like flavorings and stuff, extra ingredients. So I have to check that one out.
Yeah. Yeah, that's all right. It just doesn't have to be Eat real food, nourish your body, be hydrated. You'll be back.
Okay. Well, listen, I've got so much more to go through, so maybe we'll do another one.
Yeah.
I tell you what, actually, just before, because I feel bad, I spoke to quite a lot of gym members and sourced some questions.
Right.
And I said, don't be offended if I don't ask it. I've asked all of them.
Yeah.
Obviously, I've not asked any of them. I've got two very good.
Put it down.
So they were really good. So thank you to everyone. So I'm going to have to pick one.
Right. Long-winded answers are needed.
This is a good one. I'll go real quick. You could change one station in High Rocks. What would you change it to? Why?
I will change. I will change out the speed, and I will put in a heavy sandbag over something for a best. I feel if High Rocks, it could do with being to be like a more endurance sport. I feel adding something like that, which is going to, like a 60 kilo sandbag up and over a platform or a bar or something, would just add that extra bit.
I suppose the bit of real life as well.
Sticking power, it's going to knock you on your tracks. I feel the skiing and row very aerobic in nature. I feel it would be harder, not that it's, it would be even harder with something like that, sandbag up and over. From a certain height, and inside, back over, whatever, certain amount of reps.
Cool.
That's it. I feel the rest of it is perfect the way it is.
Yeah.
And I still don't mind skiing rope.
Yes.
That's what I'm changing.